Well, in this day and age when gasoline prices are just going up, 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 don't you wish that there was something called a gasoline pellet and we could just put them in and it would solve all of our problems? You're going to enjoy my next guest. Carl Kegerreis has written a book called I Wish I Had Those Gasoline Pellets. Welcome, Carl. I'm glad that you're here.
Well, thank you. And I'm very happy to be here. And thank you, Susan, for all you're doing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Carl, let's talk about those gasoline pellets. The general gist of the book is fiction, right?
Yes.
All right. What are gasoline pellets?
Well, actually, what this is, it's where it came from another world. And it was in the military. And he was a scientist. I'm talking about Ollie Washington Jr.'s father was a scientist. And after Ollie Washington Jr., was caught in Vietnam, his plane was shot down, and he finally got caught. And so what happened was his father, I guess because he hadn't been home for a long time, passed away. But they found out later it wasn't suicide. They thought maybe that's what it was, but it wasn't. But he was a scientist in the military, and that's how this all got started, about the pellets.
Mm-hmm. And what do the pellets do? What problem do they solve?
Well, you just add a little bit to water, and next thing you got pure grated gasoline.
That's just a dream. I mean,
Yeah.
my gosh, that would be as convenient as, opening a can of corn. You just have it right in your cabinet, right? You
Right.
could carry it in your purse or your glove compartment. Never have to worry about running out of gas.
That's right.
That's a really interesting concept. I love that. What prompted that? Have you ever had what made you think that that was going to be your product in the book? Have you had an experience where you wish you had some gasoline pellets? How did that happen?
Well, I think the real reason it happened was because I was noticing different prices of gasoline.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, that's really odd. So, and then I heard about the probability that we're going to have a big raise in taxes on gasoline. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I wrote this story.
Hmm.
And it was during the pandemic, when it was back in 2020, is when I actually wrote the manuscript.
Very interesting. In a time when we're worried and concerned about who is providing fuel to us, where are we getting this energy from? The idea of taking it from maybe a nation that we were not so friendly with to putting it in our cabinet is so exciting. Do you think that is there a grain of possible truth to this?
No,
You don't think so?
I
This will
wish,
never happen.
I wish there was.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this, that when I sent this manuscript, because it was back in 2020, when I sent the manuscript in to Wheatmark Publishing, the owner and the publisher called me and he said, first words he said to me was, "Do you have any of those gasoline pellets?"
You would be a multi-billionaire if you had them. I'm gonna stay on this for just another second because you are a man of wisdom. You have been around for a while. You've seen a lot of change in the world. And to say that no, this could never happen, you've seen some amazing inventions in your lifetime. I'm not so convinced this couldn't happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it does, it's going to be a wonderful, fantastic thing for all American people.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it
that
sure
would be
would.
great. That would be absolutely fantastic.
And we'd have to give you the credit because you thought of it. So, Carl, let's talk about one of the characters in your books. Name is Haywood Runyon. Let's talk about him being the retired FBI agent. What role does he play?
Actually, I've been telling people when they get this book that Haywood Runyon is actually me, and
Really?
Lily is my wife. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
and the reason I say that is because I was not a retired FBI agent, but I
Okay.
was trained by the FBI, and I was a federal officer the last 4 years on CSX Transportation Railroad.
Wow. So you've put a lot of yourself into the book. You are the character. Does it make it easier to write when there's a piece of you as a
I think
character?
I think it does. Yeah, I really do.
So one of the things that they explore is a youth center, and we wanted to touch on that. Where did they go to explore the youth center?
Well, I tell you what, Father Perio, it's stories in the book with Saint Trevia Catholic Church. He's the one that actually pointed out to Haywood Runyon that there was a strange individual that was living over there by the gate across the street. And he was in the woods there somewhere, but they didn't know where he was.
And can I say, first of all, is this just a one-time book, or is this going to be part of a series?
No, it's a one-time book.
Okay. And did you know where the book was going to go when you started, or did you go on the journey of the writing and the characters with them?
Well, I think I really did go on the journey. Yeah.
You did, yeah. Yeah. That's so exciting. It was living and breathing with you.
I think so, yes.
Carl, kind of wrapping up the interview here a little bit, but I'd love to know, what would you like people or readers to take away from your book? What is the larger picture? Is there something that someone could stop reading it and go, there's a perfect thing that they would say, and you go, yes, that's what I was hoping you would say? Or what would be just a great takeaway that you would hear?
Well, you remember I was telling you about my experience, and I got to thinking about the military.
Let's share that experience so we can bring the readers and the listeners in on that real quick. We've got about 30 seconds for you to talk about that.
Okay. Anyway, what I was telling you was that I had come from military police school and from Fort Gordon, Georgia, and I was on layover there in a Texas airport. And that's when the war protesters surrounded me and they spit on me and everything, and they were hollering and carrying on. And back in that time, there were such things as protesters right here in our country for the Vietnam War.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what really gave me the idea to write this about Ollie Washington Jr., who was captured in Vietnam, and then he was placed in a hospital. But he was going to Washington, D.C. to get a Congressional Medal of Honor. He helped a lot of prisoners escape from prison there in Vietnam. And when he got to Washington, D.C., he was going outside with his grip to put in his car. His parents were still in the motel there in Washington, D.C., and they were getting ready to go see the president. And a bunch of war protesters surrounded him, took him down an alley and beat him up real bad. And they called an ambulance. The ambulance came and picked him up, and he went to the hospital. And when he was in the hospital in Washington, D.C., he developed amnesia. And he went out of the hospital and he got into a boxcar on a freight train and ended up in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow. Carl, we've got to really wrap this up. But first of all, I just want to say, number one, thank you for your service in the military. Number two, while I'm sorry that incident happened to you, I'm glad that you made something good out of it.
Now, I want to tell you what's even going to be better.
What's that?
This is going to be for my wife who passed away on March the 1st of this year.
Oh.
And she passed away with Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that this will be a wonderful thing for Alzheimer's research. And that's what I'm planning on doing. All the monies that come from this book will go directly to Alzheimer's research in memory of my wonderful wife, Sandra.
Sandra.
Yeah, she put up with me for 58 years.
Wow. Well, bless you. Bless you, Carl. Real quick, for the people who are just listening to this, how can they get a hold of your book? Where is it available? Maybe your website, or is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's in most bookstores on the computer. And it definitely is also at Wheatmark Publishing.
Okay, very good. Carl, the book is called I Wish I Had Those Gasoline Pellets. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a great day.
Well, thank you, Susan. I really appreciate this. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.